Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nantawan Wongkajongkiti. I'm the Director of Operation Department in e-government agency in Thailand. I would like to introduce our first session in the afternoon, which is called One Price Our ASEAN. And the moderator, of course, Mr. Jonathan Krause. He's an executive partner in Gartner. He has been working with Gartner for 5.5 years. Currently, he's based on Singapore, and he's a former CIO from Queensland in Australia. And he's now currently working with all the CIO across the country, the world, actually. And first panelist is Ms. Jantima Sirisaengtaksin. She's a principal advisor on ICT Revenue Department. The second person is General Dr. Vichit Sataranond. He's the chairman of National Research Council Thailand Board, ICT Science Branch. And the third person is Mr. Rahmat Budiyanto, Vice President of IT Development of PT Telkomsel. And the last but not least is Dr. Thanachart Numnonda. He's a President Software Park of Thailand. So here we go. Take away, Mr. Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Kun Nantawan. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon for this panel discussion. We'll kick off with some thoughts from the panel, but we will be throwing open to questions from the floor a little later. So please be ready to offer up some comments and questions for us to chew on and to respond to. So, but firstly, let's start off with maybe a couple of thoughts. A couple of our panel have prepared a few slides, just some opening thoughts and some questions around the topic. So let me invite firstly Kun Jantima to kick off the batting for us.
Yes, good afternoon. I think I will change the speaking in Thai, and I see no, except my moderator. This is the topic very interesting. It's a one price software. Let me share a little bit before we go to the discussion. I prepare for please the slide. With the slide or not yet? No. The slide. Slide ขึ้นหรือยังคะ Yeah. Okay. It's a one price software. Let me share you. Next, yeah, I have to do myself. Cannot. ข้างหลังช่วยหน่อยได้ไหมครับเปลี่ยนซอฟต์แวร์ Okay. Okay. Sorry. They want to say that can we have a one price software for the ASEAN? Before we go to in that section, we have to know that what is the ASEAN? ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian National. We have 10 together. We have Thailand, Malaysia, Burmese, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Brunei, Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore. We are the community. The purpose of the, sorry. I think I see that. Yep. Yeah. The purpose of the community is we wanted to be one community and stronger for what you can see. This is very important for the single market and production base. We should do what we expert, and they have a divide to each country already. Just like Singapore, they do the ICT and the education, something that is depend on, and how we competitive economy region. If we go to the region or community, we are stronger. Equitable economic development. We can help each other to have a goals of living better. Yeah? Integration into global economy. Because a European, they go to Euro country, and the other is you can see in South America now they are also very strong, and across of the world now they go to community. Even in Africa. Yeah. So what is the next? So the question is good or not we have a one price software, or how can be in that way. And this will go to discussion. For the other to go, yes. In fact, the price list or the software license or one price or many price, I don't know. But some of them, they have the price list already when you want to check. And it's true or not to be one price that we have to discuss. Other else? Yep. We still have our problem among the ASEAN. This is my personally, and I asked for someone, and I searched from the internet. We still in among our 10 countries, each country still have internal problem. Such as Thailand, you know well, we have a red shirt, we have a yellow shirt, we have many issues. The second, the neighborhood, our neighboring between Cambodia and Thai and Laos, or else that is a neighbor problem. We still have the culture, different culture, a lot. We have a nationality, we have an environment, and very important, also the language problem. It is possible to be one price software for ASEAN. Let you think and come to discuss together. The other problem, yep, ASEAN is big enough to be bargained. Who is the one? How strong for ASEAN to negotiate with the one have the licensing? Do we live ASEAN community or not? We start 10 years already, but we still have many problems. In ASEAN are planning infrastructure before we go to the software license, before we go to the single gateway of the ASEAN. ASEAN thinking about planning infrastructure for ASEAN each other country or not. I look for someone here. It's from the custom side. I think custom department is a good example. They try go to the single window for the custom duty between each country in ASEAN. We start with the Philippines. Yeah, how to build the ASEAN community. Very important. Before we go ASEAN to negotiate with other, we have to know how we could build our ASEAN to be the ASEAN community. And Dr. Vichit will share very good point to all of you. The strength of the governance, we strengthening the policy, and strengthening ASEAN network. And this is very lovely. For the first begin, let you have the overview, and we can discuss all together in this panel.
Thank you very much for those initial thoughts and comments and questions. Before we open up to the panel, I'd like to invite Mr. Budiyanto to also share just a few thoughts. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I also prepare some material, 1 or 2 pages, maybe we can share. But most of the background of the material is based on the model. From the pricing perspective, one price seems to be same as a supply chain from the vendors, operator or service provider, and also customer. We can so maybe I can stand up because sorry.
It's broke you.
The price we can see from the value chain of the ICT industry as a conceptual. We have 3 stakeholders: the suppliers, operator or service provider, and also the third is consumer who use and consume IT services. conceptually, there are three basis rules exist in the value chain, yeah, and one price can be understand from the supplier to operator point of view, or from the other side, from the operator or service provider to consumer. In terms of volume, we are in ASEAN. We have a very big potential consumer for ICT, because of number of population, geographical area, and this volume need to be managed to get more better bargaining to supplier. Let's assume most of the ICT supplier come from outside of ASEAN, but we need to see that not in this area for supplier. It's also our opportunity to become an ICT player in ASEAN. And the second, as an operator, I can share my experience, because I come from telco industry. So the ICT is really merged, because telco provide bandwidth and also provide solution for ICT. So the telco industry, like Telkomsel, we provide bandwidth with a broadband access and also a solution for retail and also for enterprise. The beauty of telco, we provide and sell our product in our shop. So customer bring our shop in everywhere, every time, with the mobile phone or other devices. The issue from supplier to operator, there is three factors that influence the pricing. The first is regional pricing from supplier side. As the example, maybe the global ICT player put the same price list as mentioned before, but they put different discount rate for every region. The discount rate will highly depend on many factors, maybe the example is country risk or volume or maybe others issue. And the second, based on the economic growth of the ASEAN or every country in the ASEAN, we could also has better positioning for bargain to get more discount rate. And the contribution of the price from the side, from the operator or service provider, also market demand. As we understand, the Asian demand is very huge, very big, so we can play more better collaborative to get more better bargaining power. And from the operator to consumer to ICT user, we have a very high competition. And the second, this depends on the regulation of every country or Asian, so we can provide more better regulation to put for more better competition among the players. And of course, we have a market demand in the customer side, so maybe not only as a consumer of IT global, but also we can provide as a operator or service provider for all Asian. I think this is the first. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts and an interesting perspective as both a consumer of IT software and a service provider. So we'll probably come back to that topic. So let's just come back then. The theme here today: one price, one ASEAN. One price is sounds good. It's a nice little catchphrase, but it really just represents the underlying issue about economic integration in ASEAN. And so as we have the discussion, I guess we just need to keep in mind not to take that too literally. We don't expect that everything is going to be the same price for everything everywhere in ASEAN. Even within countries, there'll be differences. If you buy some services in the city, maybe you pay more than if you're in a rural area. So there'll be all sorts of differences that drive price, labour rates, cost of infrastructure. So we're not literally saying that everything should be the same wherever you are in ASEAN, but this is more around how do we start to remove, undo unnecessary hindrances to trade of goods and services. How do we remove regulation or start to harmonise tax systems, start to look at labour laws and a whole range of regulatory competition areas that Jantima and Mr. Budiyanto have touched on. So that's really the context. And it certainly goes beyond software, but perhaps let's start with the software. You made a good point, Jantima, about global vendors. They already have a price list. In most cases, they're either a global price list or at least a regional price list. So what's the issue? Can we just stop now? Let's go and have coffee. There's one price for software. But it's not that simple, is it? Perhaps I might ask Thanachart from the Thai Software Park. You work closely with the software industry, particularly the local software industry. What are some of the things that you and your industry colleagues are seeing at an ASEAN level that would help or hinder growth and competition of the industry?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I think, first of all, I think that the point that Kun Jantima raised, I think we have to understand first that I think that ASEAN is not ASEAN. We are not the same. See? We are not the same. We have a lot of differences. I mean, for example, the market demand is different. I mean, for ICT, Singapore market is quite big. Indonesia is quite big. Okay, some country probably much smaller. Labor cost is not the same. We have to understand that. Okay, and one question is that is that our market is big enough or not? Okay. I think in terms of the software market, majority still go to US, EU. After that, ASEAN market share is, I think APAC, I would say APAC market share is only 18%. Okay, and it's going to go up to 21% in 2020. You see, it's so small. The question is that can we negotiate with the vendor? I used to work with the vendor before I joined Software Park. I think that I would say that I would say from the vendor point of view, we have the same risk price, isn't it, for ASEAN? And as you say, probably discount is not the same. But discount, the reason that discount is not the same, probably is because of the demand. Okay, if you have a bigger volume, it is possible that we give you more discount. Okay, and when we look for three things, okay, for software discount, I think that for consumer product that you buy a lot, for example, sorry, I have to mention the name, Microsoft product, maybe a little bit possible, but very still difficult, you see, still difficult. I have to look to the audience because I saw, I mean, Microsoft director she's here. so it's possible, but I think a little bit. Okay, I think as a vendor point of view, we try to give, I mean, a lot of discount as well if we have a lot of volume. Okay, so it is still possible. Hardware, I think, for the server and other thing, probably very difficult to give, I mean, the big discount in some cases unless you have a big project. And as you see that the projects has come by project, so it's not the same time. It's not a big volume. Okay, services. I think this is very difficult because labor costs are not the same. You see, so for another thing that we have to understand that, okay, for example, Thai software company, we would like to sell to, I mean, to Indonesia. Indonesian software company probably would like to come to Thailand as well. So we don't mind about the price. I think we still the one price. But sometimes we have to make it cheaper in some country as well, because of they cannot afford. See? So as I said that I would say the list price is one price, but the discount is not the same, and the discount can be the same. Okay, if we can put demand together, okay, in the same project or whatever, and make it a bigger volume, I think that is possible, but it's unlikely as well. Okay. For example, I mean, for some software, for example, enterprise software, how can you do that? Because it's by project.
Thank you for that. I might just throw back to Mr. Budiyanto, again in your role as a consumer of software and hardware and services, but a provider of services. Would you like to elaborate a little bit further around some of the issues, again at a regional level? What are some of the barriers, some of the opportunities to start to harmonise economically around price of goods and services? No, sorry, Mr. Budiyanto, sorry.
Yeah. Of course, the price, we have so many parameters to define. Many times, the price contribute from volume, is market demand. The second, based on the time when the volume is, when the purchasing based on project or based on the aggregate. This is the second parameters. And the third, as we define this ICT based on the software, second of the hardware, and the third of the services. The services also very put in the variative, depend on which country and the expertise itself. But still, we can construct how we can formulate the one price, not necessarily one. Even we put already single price list, but still we have room for get the more discount.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the first. The second, from the services point of view, if we have we leverage our competence in ASEAN, we can use a local benchmark, regional benchmark for services. This is also the second opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And Jantima, you've been working in the government side of things, so you probably have a better understanding about some of the policy challenges and opportunities. What would you see around this for ASEAN? You've alluded to a couple of things in your opening comments. What's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is the user. Instead, we talk about the one price, how we don't talk about the half price. Sometimes, because I agree that the opportunity when you have to use it, you have to know what exactly. To talk about one price, we have to talk about utilize the software. Just like one very popular, it depends on the license. You want to use it. For me, it's a challenging, not the one price, but it's meaning for. I don't talk about the ASEAN. At the end, we have to talk about the ASEAN. I just talk my experience in the department. The first time I implement, normally in-house when we use the licensed software, I have to tell you all the truth that sometimes we don't buy it. We just use it. But we seem that it's not right. So we started to buy the licensing. So I talked to the supplier by frankly that this is the first time. It depends on negotiate. And that is why you can see my slide. You are strong enough, you big enough to negotiate. That Dr. Thanachart said that the same, you have a big volume enough or not. And the supplier have to think about that. So the first time, I still remember almost 15 years, 20 years, we buy the license. And we buy not all the using license. I say that this is my first lot to buy the license. So even the first time we buy or the last time we buy, you should give the same price. That's maybe depend on how strong you can negotiate. And more than that, not only the pricing for you to consideration, you have to ask yourself, you really want to use it and how you utilize it. And you really to use it one license for one user or one license for one PC, or you have the other way to use the licensing. That's the way. I just, after I have this topic, I think a lot. We cannot thinking is just on shelf because we are the ASEAN. Maybe we have to set up the ASEAN ICT committee to have the negotiating with the software house, the supplier, big example with the Microsoft or Oracle or anything else. And just like the channel for every country in the ASEAN to be the member to the big committee. Just like Thailand, we try to have one enterprise or one country licensing, but we never success in that point. Yeah.
Thank you for being so frank with us. I hope there's not too many reporters in the room that are going to quote you on that. But I guess that does raise the issue across ASEAN. There's different levels of maturity in terms of the markets and the users, whether it's government agencies or commercial organisations, their maturity as consumers, understanding opportunities to use technology, and then some of the intellectual property challenges that go with that. So thank you for opening up that topic for us. Dr. Vichit, if I can turn to you. You work in the research sort of sector more broadly across a number of industries. So rather than looking at just the software or IT services industry, perhaps you could comment a little around what you see as some issues from a cross-industry perspective, not limited to software.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I like to stand far away from the ASEAN a little bit, because I've been follow the course of AEC from our King Pachatipo Institute. So I learned a lot what ASEAN is. First comment I would like to give to the floor is that we are dreaming a lot to become ASEAN. Dreaming since 10 years ago from the defense, national defense problem. We like to unify our country, which is that time seemed to be under Western influence. So we like to put together to become a big force and fight back. But the crisis or the Cold War is already gone. So now become economy war. They've been that, especially with IT. But frankly speaking, there is very few talks in ASEAN committee about IT. So this is probably the first time that we've been talking in the form of a CIO Forum, talking about requirement of IT in ASEAN. But I would like to say that the topics that the organizer had been put in the integration of ICT section toward a single market, especially for ICT product and service. And we've been talking about one price, how to deal with the price. But let's say that if you cannot balance the demand supply in your country or in our procurement, surely that the company who produce those software will never listen to us. Like when Microsoft released new product, everybody want to change. Even they don't use it. For example, for Microsoft Office, we use only Word and PowerPoint. Excel nobody use already, but we bought it as a package. Is that right? We bought it especially for user, like our colleague or those. I think she or he never realized that this spoil money, but they want to have new version, new release, and that's why Microsoft very rich. So if we like to negotiate with them, we have to show them that if you don't discount, if you don't give one price for our negotiation, then we have another product to be used. So it's simply speaking is that there is no competitor which is as strong as Microsoft has. So if we like to have power to negotiate with them, we have to produce our common open source or those type of things to be used. So to negotiate with Microsoft or Oracle, I think it's a dream. Still need a long way to go. I've been involved in negotiating on behalf of Ministry of ICT about the maintenance costs. For software, they charge 22%. So let's say that 5% become 110%. And so we try to reduce it into something like 18%, which is officially the government only allowed 12% for maintenance costs of software. So another 6%, each organization has to add up the budget onto it. But still they don't accept, never success. This is a good example. So I believe that we will have to try to do something as Asian brand. I've been informed by Dr. Surin, the Secretary of the ASEAN, is that we have to produce innovation. We have to produce Asian product by using our force of Asian country like Singapore, like Malaysia, even like Thailand, to do some R&D seriously in order to produce something. For example, in IT, if we can produce some software which can be used sufficiently for our requirement, then it's all right. We don't need to buy the Western product or US product or anything, except with some application that we cannot produce ourselves. So this is very important that R&D has to become more thinking, more serious in the government level. I believe that in many countries, still government believe that, okay, R&D is just continuously provided budget, but very few, a piece of a budget go to R&D. And that's why we never success with some success innovation. So from now on, we have to help together to become, to put network of R&D for among our member country, to exchange of information, exchange of knowledge, and try to organize that which country do what part, which is depends on their strength. Like Singapore now, we have to accept that, okay, for IT, R&D, they really go far away from many countries. But if we like to work together, then probably we will find something that we can compete outside of ASEAN country, and probably even the other Western country will also use our software. So I really would like to give some information that the development of ASEAN has to be very careful. We can dream, but we cannot realize our dream because the difference of readiness of each country. I believe that each country just say that, okay, we would like to open our country, we would like to do business together, we would like to, live together with happiness. But in fact, no business people will accept that. In their mind, they want to have more advantage with another. So they like to come to ASEAN country because they want to sell more, because we have 600 million people, customer. So I believe that during the starting of ASEAN, if we try to build each country stronger and stronger until we will almost the same efficiency, then the dream may come true.